that they can divide the four blocks. One is the soil and soil fertility. Another block also is the tillage and the weed control. Block 3 is the crop production 1. Block 4 is the crop production 2. The block 1 is the soil and soil fertility. We will discuss the agriculture metrology, different types of the soils and manures and fertilizers. Okay. Okay. First chapter is the soil fertility. Is the main discussion is the ability of the soil and agriculture and plant growth. They can also the constant of the yields of the high quality. Agricultural metrology is the branch of physics dealing with the day-to-day conditions of atmosphere and reasons for the variation that occur in the atmosphere and their influence on crop production. Climatology is also science. It deals with the average atmospheric conditions, including the trends, probabilities, and extreme weather conditions for the longer period of a time, covering different regions of the end of the surface. Okay, you could mainly we are discussing of the physical condition, atmospheric mainly are the some of the element must study of the solar radiation, air temperature, atmospheric pressure, wind movement, relative humidity, evaporation, and clouds and the rainfall. Okay, solar radiation, transmission of radiant energy through the electromagnetic waves emitted by the sun to the earth without any medium radiation is known as a solar radiation. One main theme is the sun to the earth without any medium is known as a solar radiation. The total solar radiation 23% of the reflected by the clouds, 9% is the scattered back of the space by the suspended particle. About the 9% of the solar radiation is the absorbed by the water, vapor, gases and suspended particles, and 47% absorbed by the earth. The radiant energy absorbed by the earth is converted into the heat energy, resulting in a rise in temperature. When the earth radiates the heat to the atmosphere, which is known as the terrestrial radiation. The atmosphere is not directly heated by the solar radiation through the stands between the sun and the earth. Scattered into the space of 9% and reflected by the earth 2%, and reflected from the clouds 23%. Actually, radiation from the sun 100%, scattered into the space is the 9%, reflected earth to 2%, reflected from the clouds 23%, observed in a temperature 19%. Okay. And next one is the absorbed directly by the earth is the 24%. Phonometer is also called as the solar eye meters. They are used to measure direct or diffuse solar radiation. Pyrometers are the used to the measure and direct solar radiation. Solar radiation is the provides two essential methods. of the plants. It provides the high light is required for the synthesis of the green chlorophyll pigments in the plant. This pigment is capable of absorbing radiant energy and and convert into the chemical energy by the carbohydrates through the process of the photosynthesis. It is also for the seeds germination, growth, and flowering and fruiting. Thermal energy is required for the normal physiological functions of the plants. Measurements of the sunshine, the number of bright sunshine hours available during the crop growth influence A growth activity in photosynthetic and A. According to Campbell, the stalks of the sunshine recorded is commonly used for the measuring the duration of the sunshine. It considered that the glass sphere is the coverage of the sun rays in the focus on bowl. The hot sun rays is the reaching the cad burn. The cad is the leave the chard is the extent of a shade in the card indicates the period of the bright sunshine hours in day. Light effects on the plant in three ways. One is the intensity, quality mean mainly wavelength. Next one is the duration, mainly is the photoperiod duration. Light intensity, the variations in light intensities are always interlinked with the change in the temperature and the relative humidity, and it would be difficult to estimate the light effects of alone. In photosynthesis, about the 1% of the light energy is converted to the potential chemical energy. Very low light intensity reduce the rate of the photosynthesis. The results in the reduce the vegetative growth of it require the causes of the rapid loss of water resulting the closer the stomata for the highlight of the intensity of the cell contents are the oxidized by the atmospheric oxygen, which is known as the photooxidation or solar sanitation. This is the quality of the light. Now, how to measure the quality of the light? Mainly, when the white light is the passed through the prism, it is the dispersed into the wavelength of different colors. From the violet to red, it is the length range from the 400 to 700 nanometers or millimicrons. This being observed during the photosynthesis, red light seems to the most favorable light of the growth of the followed by the violet or blue. Short wavelength radiation below 40 micrometers, such as the X-rays, gamma rays, ultraviolet rays, and along with the radiation, the key behind the red, such as the infrared, are detrimental to the growth. Duration of light. The response of the plants is the relative length. Day and night is the day and light of the night is known as the photoperiodism. Mainly, photoperiodism means the response of the lights to the relative length of day and night is known as the photoperiodism. This is developed by the Allard and Garner. Plants which grows the normally when the photoperiod is greater than the critical minimum, more than 12 hours. This is also called as the long day plants. The above the developed plants, the photoperiod is less than the critical maximum, less than the 12 hours. Is also called as short day plants. Some plants not affected by the photoperiod is also called as the day neutral plants. Plant characters like the flower initiation, flora development, bulb formation. In the same way, when the short day plant is subjected to the long day period, the growth of the plant and becomes abnormal, and there is no flower initiation. Among the crop plants is the soybean and maize and millets also. Atmospheric temperature. We will discuss the in the above is the duration of the light. Atmospheric temperature. Temperature is considered the measure the continuously. Temperature is considered the measure the intensity of the heat energy. There will be the difference temperature from the and from the time to time. The factors affecting of the temperature, the atmosphere is the difference on latitude, difference in the altitude, prevailing winds and the promaxy to lateral body and the oceanic currents, the clouds and the rainfall, the stops to the land and mountains, other conditions of the atmosphere. Temperature measurement, how to measure the temperature. Mainly C is equal to F minus 32 into 5 by 9. The centigrade, we can measure the centigrade, and Fahrenheit C into 9 by 5 plus 32. So the recording of the temperature in atmosphere, the useful known is the highest and the lowest temperature that occur in a day. Maximum thermometer is also glass mercury thermometer with the construction of the bore nearby the bulb. Next one is the heat injury is also is the important. Very high temperature of the often stops the growth. The plant faces the starvation due to the high respiration rates. If such condition the persist to the longer period, the plants is killed. Extensive heat results to the defoliation and the furniture, the dropping of the fruits. The chilling injury, the plants is adapted to the warm condition when the exposed the chilling temperature below freezing point for the sometimes they get killed in condition and expose the chilling temperatures the below the freezing point, and the most sometimes is the kill the injured severely. Some effects of the chilling are the conditions, chromatic conditions bonds with the chromatic lights is the sorghum and maize when exposed to 60 hours in the 2 to 4 degrees centigrades. Okay, heat injury and What are the effect of the temperature and the growth? Growth. The plants can grow only in the within the certain limits of temperature. And for each crop, there will the minimum, optimum, and the maximum temperature for different stages of the crop growth is known as the cardinal points. The minimum growth temperatures below which growth that does not take place. The optimum temperature which growth takes place, the aggressive place most of the rapidly, and the maximum temperature above which is growth cases when light is a not a limiting factor. The various biochemical process associated with the photosynthesis or the controlled temperature. Crops vary in the response to low light temperatures. Certain crops such as the potatoes and sugar beets store the carbohydrates more rapidly during the periods. With cool night, cotton, maize, and the tobacco require the warm nights in the maximum development. In general, high temperature accelerates the growth process and the moisture is supplied adequate high temperature rarely. Cause health of plants, the high temperature cause the sterility in flowers. The photosynthetic process appears to be the heat inactivated excessively high temperatures, which however do not inhibit the respiration. The harmful effects of the excessive temperatures are aggravated when the soil moisture becomes the limiting factor. The damage is further the increased with the hot dry winds. Soil temperature. The seed germination is the markedly influenced by temperature. High soil temperature prevents the seed from the germination and even kill the seeds. Germination was found in the decrease the steadily as the soil temperature increased above 20 degrees centigrade and ceased the completely at 45 degrees centigrade. Soil temperature controls the microbial activity and the process involved in the availability of nutrients to the plants. Nitrification does not begin until the soil reaches the temperatures above 5 degrees centigrade. Atmospheric pressure. The air molecules have the certain weight and the exact force known as the atmospheric pressure. The force is the exerted is the proportional to the number and the speed of the air molecules which strike in unit area. Atmospheric pressure is the defined as the pressure excreted by the column of air on the square inch boundary of the atmosphere and the altitude. When the air gets the heated up, it expands and the occupies more space and the pressure the excreted will be the less. The atmospheric pressure will be high in regions of the low temperature and vice versa. With increase in evolution, the quantity of the air mass in the decrease and the will be low. The atmospheric pressure is the decrease approximately at the rate of 1 inch in the mercury column and every 1,000 feet in the rise the evolution. Atmospheric pressure is the measured with the help of the mercurial barometer and aneroid barometer. The value of the atmospheric pressure is also called as the normal pressure. Normal pressure is the 76 meters centimeters and next one 29.9 inches is the mercury and is the equal of 1013.2 millibars or 1013 kilopascals. Wind movement of the air is in horizontal motion which moves from the high pressure area and low pressure area is known as the wind. From the high pressure area to the low pressure area is also called as wind. Vertically moving of the columns is called the currents. Vertical air movement is the connected with the formation of the clouds and rainfall. A wind is caused by the differentiation pressure which occur mainly through the differentiation in temperature. When air gets the heated, it expands and becomes the less density and the starts ascending. The temperature of heated air will be less in the comparison of to the surroundings, and therefore denser air is rushed to the equalized pressure differences. The wind is best described by its the direction and the speed of well, velocity. The wind is named the direction from the which is comes, thus the winds blowing from the south to north is also called as the south wind or the southern wind, and the south is the windward side and the north is the leeward side direction towards the wind blows. Effect of wind on the on growth crop growth. Wind's effect of the growth mechanically and physiologically. The sand and the dust particles carried by the wind may damage plant tissue. Emerging the seedlings may be covered, or alternatively, the roots of the young plants may be exposed. Winds cause the considerably losses to field crops by the inducing the lodging, breaking of stalks, and the shedding of the grain. They cause the serious loss to the horticulture crop by peeling fruits and the breaking of the branches of the trees. The physiological effects of winds consist mainly in increasing the transpiration and evaporation losses, which is results in the higher water requirement of crops. Hot, dry winds adversely affect the photosynthesis by closing the stomata even under the enough of the soil moisture condition, which results in ill-filled the grains. And desert wind is the causes constant soil erosions to make the difficult for the plants to grow. Moderate winds have the beneficial effect of the photosynthesis by the continuously replacing the carbon dioxide absorbed by the leaf surface. They also help in the pollination of crops. They aid in the winnowing of the grains. They kept the atmospheric temperature. Atmospheric humidity. Humidity refers to the water vapor content in the atmosphere. The water is converted into vapor by the evaporation, get distributed to the minute droplets suspended throughout the atmosphere. Atmospheric humidity. Humidity refers to the vapor and the content in the atmosphere. Relative humidity. Relative humidity is the most moisture present in the atmospheric relation to the amount required for the saturation. Relative humidity is the expressed as percentage in meteorological observatories. It is also recorded with the help of a wet bulb and the dry bulb thermometers. Dry bulb thermometers gives the current at a temperature, while wet bulb is the indicates the depression in the temperature due to the moisture in the atmosphere. With the help of this, the two values RH can be calibrated. Effect of the humidity on the crop growth. The evaporation water from the soil and the transpiration from the
Sir, you have muted yourself.
Next, soils, different types of the soils. Okay, soil is the natural medium of the plant growth. Soils for the found due to the weathering and of the rocks. Weathering refers to the physical and the chemical disintegration and the decomposition of rocks, which are not the equilibrium under the temperature, pressure, and the moisture condition on the Earth's surface. There are three major types of the rocks: in the igneous rocks, sedimentary rocks, and next one is the metamorphic rocks. The productivity of soils depend on the physical properties like texture, structure, and density, pore space, plasticity, and the chosen soil temperature, soil and the soil water, and chemical properties like the mineral composition of organic matter content and soil pH, the soil biological properties. Based on the characteristic features of the soils, they have been classified into the different groups. The classification of the soil helps the productivity is the following types of the soils: coastal sands. They're the very deep in the 1.8 meters to 5 meters and the above. There are the coarse texture with the sandy subsoil soils. The water table is the groundwater of the strongly saline. The pH of the ranges from the 6.5 to the 7.5. Uh, Deltoic alluvial, the soils is very deep over the 180 centimeters. The soil reaction is the natural alkaline. The exchange capacity is very high. The fertile clay minerals they vary due to the deposition of silts and the varying the composition. The crops that can be the grown are the rice, turmeric, sugarcane, and banana, chilies, vegetables, maize, and the cotton and the groundnut, mostly under the irrigation. The soils are the prevalent in some parts of the east and the west Godavari, Krishna, and the Guntur districts. Red sand soils is also called as the Duba and the Chalaka soils. The depth of the soils vary from the shallow to shallow. The soils are neutral. They are the very low in nitrogen content. The exchange of the capacity is also known low. The crops that can be grown are the jowar, bajra, red gram, castor, groundnut under the rain-fed condition. Rice is the grown under the irrigation. A high dose of the nitrogen application in the splits is necessary to get higher yields of the crops. The soils are the present in the tracts Hyderabad, especially Medak, Gunturu, Prakasham, and Nellore, Kurnool districts. Red earth of the with the loamy subsoils. They are extremely shallow, the moderate deep in the 8.8 8.75 centimeters. The pH of the soils ranges is the 6.5 to the 7.5. The exchange capacity is the low. They are poor in nitrogen content and nitrogen fertilizers should be the applied splits of the intervals. Crop like the jowar, bajra, maize, and the chilies under the irrigation are grown. These are the present in Telangana region, parts of the Nalgonda, different soil. Red earth with the clay subsoils. These are the shallow, the moderately. They are the neutral weakly alkaline and the 6.5 to 8 pin is the low nitrogen phosphorus and content. They have the comparatively high exchange capacity than chalka and duba soils. Red loamy soils, they're also moderately deep. pH ranges from 7.5, 7.0 to the 8.5. The soils are low in nitrogen and phosphorus. Crops like the jowar, bajra, red soil with the clay subsoils, the block soils. These are also called the Ragers. These are soils are the medium deep in deep. The pH of the soil range is the 7.7 to 8.5. There are the non-saline, but the salt content is the more than the red soil. With regard to the fertile status, these the soils are low in nitrogen, very low in the phosphorus, and medium in potassium. The exchange capacity is high. Nitrogen fertilizer can be applied in less number of the spills. The soils are the prevalent in parts of the Adilabad, Nizamabad, Warangal, and Khammam, Medak, Hyderabad. Black cotton soils are the deep, very clay. pH range is the 8 to 9. Nitrogen is the phosphorus contents are low, but the potassium content is at the median level. This type of the soils are the predominant major areas in parts of the Mahbubnagar, Khammam, and next one is the Nizamabad. The red fade like the Johor and Mess. Laterite soil, these are the deep, very with acidic nature. pH is the 4.5 to 6. They are the poor in the fertile and low in nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. Problematic soils, acid soils, the humid regions, heavy rainfall in the soluble base, the formed in the course of the weathering. The rocks are the leached down and the carried away by the drainage water, and the contaminated leaching of the salts results in the replacement of the calcium, magnesium, potassium, and sodium ions, the hydrogen ions, and the formation acid soils with the low pH. The, actually, 6.6 into 7.5 is the nearly neutral. 6.1 to 6.5 is slightly acidic. 5.6 and 6 is the medium acidic. 5.1 in the 5.5 is the strongly acidic. 4.6 to 5 is the very strongly acidic. 4.5 and below is the extremely acidic. Effects of the soil acidity is the soil acidity exceeded the particular limit. It injures the plant growth and the availability of the plant nutrients in soil like the phosphorus, calcium, and magnesium, and decreased the with increasing acidity. On the other hand, nutrients like the aluminum and iron, magnesium, and the copper acclimate toxic levels in the injury of the plant growth. Reclamation of the saline soils. When the soil is dry, the scrap of the salt layer in the soil surface with the spade. The field is laid into the small plots of the convenient size. Flood these the plots with the good irrigation water of rainwater is the maintain 20 centimeter depth of the standing water. Allow this the water stand for 5 days. The later in the standing water if drained out. The above process is repeated in the 3 to 4 times to reduce the severity of the salinity. In case of the nitrogen, water is also saline. Cultivate the salt tolerant crops such as the rice, sugarcane, sorghum, maize, and bajra. In case of dry crops, the field laid out into the ridges and the furrows, the seeds of the crops. Organic manure is the primarily farm at the manure. The compost should be the field the liberally. The green manure is the most of the proportion is the soil. Fertilizers are the acidic. Soil fertility and soil productivity is the inorganic plant nutrients. The soil depend on the organic origin of the soil and the rocks from the which is the soil formed. Organic matter content and the water capacity is the combination with the other factors like the texture of the structure of depth, the biological nature of the soil capacity, the microorganism present in the soil, and convert to the unavailable forms of the plant nutrients into the available forms. Soil fertility losses mainly are the removal of the nutrient by the harvested crops, removal of the nutrients by the weeds, loss of the nutrients, the leaching, loss of the nutrients from the soil fertility is the management by addition of the organic manures, growing green. Next one, addition of the soil elements. Biofertilizer also they can use for the increasing of the crop productivity. Soil erosion. Soil erosion is the mainly uh, is the process of the detachment of the soil particles from the parent body and the transportation and detached soil particles by the wind and the water, soil erosion. Soil conservation practices the mechanical measures, mainly gully control in the brushwood dams, rock and dill dams, bench tracing, contour stripping, cropping, lab farming, crop rotation. These are also forestry measures also. They are the uh, mainly the soil surface helps to reduce the impact of the raindrops and the other patches. These are the soil fertility. Thank you.